Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show. Ash, Brent, Commander in the Atzenoffer Studios on this post-Caldo Wednesday, Thursday. Glad you're joining us. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerland Hayfeed and Ranch Services. Stop on by for everything you need: deer feed, deer protein, all your winter garden supplies will be in soon. Your bulbs to plant. What do people usually plant in their winter gardens? Potatoes, onions?
In Ireland. Did you hear that the other day? I saw there was a 6-course meal in Ireland. It was 5 pints of beer and a potato. The Wade and Carter weather, 78 degrees and mostly cloudy in Victoria, Texas, with a heat advisory. High today of 97. I guess the clouds are supposed to burn off early this afternoon.
97. I wish it was that cool here.
Yeah. No, it's never. And they always tell you in the winter it's 58, but it feels 46. It's 97, but it feels about $1.40 here in town. If you're out walking around, if you walk across any type of asphalt, it's just unbelievably hot. The heat radiating up off all those hard surfaces. I do wonder, I mean, as a thought, although if you're in any building in Houston and you go up to like the 3rd floor, everything around you is green. I mean, there's so much. If you're out on like that Highway 99, that loop, there's just thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of just undeveloped property. They act like Houston's a big concrete jungle, and it may be down in the inner city. But Harris County is probably 50% green. And I just wonder, though, how much the heat.
Because everybody waters their lawns.
True story. You just have to wonder how much the heat is amplified by the surroundings. So Ricky King, Scott Tomko, Torrin Bales, Bobby Leister, Mark Kurtz. There's Sherry Jacobs checking in, right? Look at that. It's just uncanny. So the ladies come in bunches. Sherry Jacobs, Rena Shearer, Marvin Mickens Jr. today in transition. Lisa Poole, Justin Glass, Torrin Bales says, welcome back, Commander. Commander gets Ash a lot. He gets a lot of credit. There's Wendy Hughes Garcia, Mark Zapata, Andrew Alvarez, Diana Hawes. Hello, Diana. I hope you're doing great. Greg Garcia.
And deservedly so. Look, he fixed the phone issue that plagued us yesterday.
Yes, if you call now, you can be on the line. Daniel Wade White, Tucker Strauss.
2 seconds.
There's BJ. Now, well, you're smarter than the average
bear.
Me. Yeah, it just goes on and on. Wait, Junior, hey guys, over here, kick. Okay,
he's still high. Junior. I think just ignore
Junior.
Him.
Junior sent you and me a rambling text yesterday afternoon, Brent, that I tried to read, and
I chose not to.
It was so all over the place in one run-on sentence, I couldn't make heads or tails of it.
Right. Hey, there's Crystal Map. Good morning.
But I'm glad he's out of surgery and he's doing better.
I try to tell the commander that we really, really appreciate him. And he basically said it's not reflected in his 1099. That's basically what I got from him.
That is a true statement.
He doesn't want to be an employee, and Lord knows we couldn't afford his health insurance. But could we maybe in our simple partnership, our partnership was about as lax as a lawn maintenance service. Like I buy the gas one week, you buy the gas the next week. We mow the yards, we edge, we weed eat, we blow. And at the end of the week, if there's
there's plenty of people out there that think we blow.
Right? If there's 80 cents left over, we get 40 a piece. That's just kind of how it works. Yeah. Andrew Alvarez says we need to double his pay. Okay, consider it done.
Thanks, Andrew.
Yeah. Linda says,
I thought we were headed somewhere until that happened.
Linda says he's on some heavy meds right now. Give him a few days. Yeah.
I think you should keep him medicated heavily all the time, Linda. Your life would be a whole hell of a lot easier.
I mean, when he's medicated, it's one lengthy run-on sentence. When he's sober, it's 10 lengthy run-on sentences.
True story.
What's going on, brother?
Let's see where to start this morning. I think it's very interesting. U.S. Census Bureau did a survey and found that 10% of the Gen Z of the Gen Z generation have zero interaction with people on a daily basis.
Divide and conquer, right? If you can separate people.
These are the next generation. This is the next generation of leaders of this country, of our communities, and they don't talk to anybody or have any interaction with anybody every day.
Yeah, agree.
I think we lost him.
No, he's still there.
Financial Times ran the survey. They don't have any face-to-face interactions with another person on a given day. That's just crazy.
Yeah. Did you listen to Slater this morning?
A little bit.
Thought it was interesting. There's Katie Jackson over in Aransas County. Good morning. They were talking about that in San Jose, California, some very meticulous FBI agents found like some little stone pyramids on the perimeter and near the vicinity of a large electrical substation. And gunmen, snipers, if you will, had gone out and very methodically and thoroughly destroyed 17 transformers that were in this substation with rifle fire. The FBI said this was a highly orchestrated, highly planned, not a random deal. Wasn't a bunch of kids with rifles deciding to do something stupid. Said that the shell casings had been removed, but the shooter's perches, if you will, their prone position placements were identifiable, and that they shut down a substation. The FBI went on to say that in the United States, you have essentially three grids, the East, the West, and Texas, and said that if you were strategic, to quote George W. Bush, if you employed strategery, you could take out only 9 substations, 9 in the whole country, and you could plunge the entire country into darkness, no electricity for up to 18 months. The majority of these transformers take a long time to build. These are big ones. They're not the little transformers that are on the poles.
The ones that blow when there's a lightning strike.
No. These are, some of them weigh, honestly, 800,000 pounds. They have to be shipped by rail. They have to, all these different, and by the way, you can't do that without electricity. You can't make them without electricity.
How does something that big get taken out by a rifle fire?
There's strategic connection points, and you can essentially short them out. And I reached out to my buddy Mike Qatar that lives in San Antonio. He works with Zachary Construction. They build power plants. He's an electrical engineer. His credibility is strong.
So why does he hang out with you?
Because he's the smartest guy I know, and it really troubles me because I've got more dirt on him than White Wing Materials. He went on and said that the lead times on these are very, very high, and the majority of them are made in other countries. Ricky King, those big transformers come from overseas. You think about, some of us have lived through when Hurricane Dolly went through the Harlingen, Texas area. I think I had 3 days without electricity. Well, you do a lot of barbecuing, right? Because all the meat that's in your freezer is going to ruin.
Yeah.
There is no ice. It's just hot all the time. It's a great place to plug a Generac whole house generator. And I'm not being
from our folks that went.
Yeah, I'm not being facetious.
No,
that,
not at all.
That would solve the problem for one household. But can you imagine if tomorrow and we have no electricity for 18 days, much less 18 months? Do you remember how Victoria basically spun in, Ash, when we had to boil water for a week?
Yeah.
Can you imagine if you had to boil water, maybe go get your own water because there's no electricity to run the pumps to your home for 18 months? By the way, you can't just get on a plane and leave because without electricity, there's no way to guide the aircraft.
No way to pump the jet fuel.
It is uncanny. And if you start thinking about it, it's tragic. Healthcare, food service. Well, I guess if the electricity went out, we just go out to eat. No, you're not thinking about it. You're not thinking about it. So
that would affect the cloud and all your medical records.
Everything. Not to mention though, you couldn't get your medical records. Hey, guess what? You couldn't get your prescriptions. Can you imagine if it took 18 months to get back online?
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's cringeworthy. I don't know what you do except certainly I would think that's one of the roles of the FBI, right? That's a matter of national security. That's not just a state's issue. I think you have to find a way to ramp up security.
Well, if they found the shell casings, the bullets have to be somewhere in those transformers that they shot up.
Well, hopefully they can find the people that did it.
Well,
but
that's what I'm saying. If the guns were bought legally,
it could have been a trial run though for something else. You know, it's like years ago when I learned how to shoot a gun out at Steck. Now you can't take a gun on the property. You have to have an appointment to get through the gate. And we used to go out there and picnic. But that was a different time when this was applicable. I asked my dad once, that water tower at the time when O'Connor Plaza wasn't here, that was the tallest thing I'd ever seen in our town, was that water tower out at Steck. And when you're close to it, it's immense. And I asked my dad, what would stop somebody from just like if you shot that water tower, would water come out of it? He goes, absolutely. It's just a big cistern. And I said, well, what would stop somebody from shooting that thing? And my dad said, you mean besides common sense? And that's the point, is now there is no common sense. There are people that would do stuff to sabotage our country on our soil. And then, of course, they would blame Donald Trump. It would be Trump's fault. But I just find it interesting. And you have to wonder if organizations like the FBI, I know they try to thwart ill doers. They try to prevent crime. But do they are those facilities secure? You know, I don't know what stops.
Drive to Steck. What's out there on, if you're on FM, what is it? 446.
446. When you get out there, I'll tell you what's out there. There's a guard shack, and you have to have an appointment to get in the gate now.
Okay, is that guy really going to stop anybody with ill intent?
Well, I think so. I don't know. I think he's an armed guard. But yeah, you're right.
I mean, but is it enough of a deterrent? If somebody's really hell-bent on taking out that station.
Junior says it's 447 because he lives on it.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, but you're right. If he was determined to take out that part of the grid, that Steck sells power to Victoria Electric Co-op. Victoria Electric Co-op manages the distribution of that power. So yeah, I mean, you can't live your life in fear, but you don't have to go very far down the what if trail to raise some very real concerns about your safety in this country. Look, man, if electricity goes out, there's no dialysis. People die in a matter of days.
Well, there's no surgeries. There's no nothing.
Right. Junior would still be under, like in a medically induced coma.
Might not have been the worst.
I was going to say there's good and bad with every situation. You got to find the silver lining. Yeah. Yeah. Well, you see with the president, he's catching some grief because I'll go to the CNN deal. I think if I can find it. CNN's 5 things today. The president, number one, let's begin. The president and his many side projects. So here's how CNN frames this. Amid a war with Iran and a record national debt, we passed $40 trillion yesterday. USA number one. We're number one, baby. President Donald Trump made time Wednesday to unveil his latest White House construction project, taking reporters on an impromptu South Lawn tour of a redone driveway and a new helipad. Trump said the driveway's old asphalt was replaced with California mined white granite, which he called a very special stone. Very special stone. The tour skipped Donald Trump's signature 90,000 square foot ballroom, which court documents show is at least 65% complete. But the project
they're working 20 hours a day, 7 days a week on that thing.
The project remains tied up in a legal fight that his administration has taken to the Supreme Court, arguing the structure and state-of-the-art bunker planned beneath it are matters of national security. Recently, he tried to emphasize that argument by calling the ballroom the military complex. Now, it's a ballroom, and they all hate Donald Trump, but you can rest assured that the next president will have a gala in that ballroom when he takes office.
Absolutely.
It's here. Might as well use it. Trump's renovation of 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue is much longer, his list, but it tells a bigger story. His focus on construction at such a consequential moment for the nation reflects how much he sees reshaping the White House as part of his legacy. His taste for spectacle is just as apparent with the UFC fight. This weekend, there's an IndyCar race through the Capitol this weekend. So, I mean, CNN can't see anything good in it. I think timing is everything. I do think that some of these projects, I think that the problem is the president oversees so much. I mean, it's not like he's going, don't bother me now about the war. I'm busy on my ballroom.
And it's not like he's baking a cake that if he doesn't get the layers done, he can't put the icing down, right? Multiple things can be going on at one time in this country, and multiple projects can get done at the same time. It's not like we got to finish the Iran war so that America can get back to living.
That's right. We're not, yeah. Absolutely.
And now he shifted the framework of the war. Did you see this comment yesterday? We're basically gonna take financial warfare to them like they've never seen. So we're gonna do what we were doing prior to this. We're just gonna ramp it up with more with more sanctions. I don't quite get it.
Yeah, I don't know. He hasn't bombed Oman yet, so that helps.
That's a good thing.
Yeah. Very interesting.
See if I can find out the latest in Iran real quick. Well, we'll go to break and then I'll try to find this stuff.
While you do that, I'll talk to him a little bit about let me find it right here. There's a new vaccine on the horizon, a promising vaccine. They call it a major medical breakthrough. This is also from CNN. A new experimental vaccine succeeded in a large trial. Now, see, Cody, sometimes you create a vaccine and then you actually test it on people, animals, and other things to make sure it works. But in Operation Warp Speed, which, admittedly began by Donald Trump, We just needed something to jab in your arm, bleach, ivermectin, something
Whatever.
to jab
Could
into your
be.
arm so that you could feel good about the flu / common cold and your ability to ward that off. The trial for the deadly skin cancer melanoma, potentially opening a new way of treating the disease. The study is ongoing, but interim results found that the treatment intismeran, INTISMERAN, reduced the risk of melanoma recurrence or death by 49% after 5 years. So people that have melanoma and get treated, this is recurrence, it's not going to keep you from getting melanoma. It keeps it from coming back. 49% of the people tested were still alive after 5 years or had not had a recurrence after 5 years. That is big. The drug is
So big. Moderna's stocks jumped $111 this morning on the opening.
Yeah, the drug is being developed by Moderna and Merck, which also makes Keytruda. Moderna CEO Stephanie Bancel called the results as big a day for humanity as November 16th, 2020.
COVID.
By the way, which is when the company released late-stage trial results showing its COVID-19 vaccine worked, which, of course, now we know it didn't work.
Right.
This is a new chapter in cancer care, he told. So it's Stefan. He told CNN. Moderna said it and Merck plan to seek regulatory approval within months. I think my deal on that is I used to facetiously snicker at people that went to other countries to get alternative and creative and non-FDA approved cancer treatments. As I've gotten older and realized that if I were faced with impending death because I had some type of stage 4 diagnosis, I'll go to a foreign country and eat monkey poop if somebody tells me there's a chance it'll keep me from dying. So I would certainly be eager if I was a melanoma survivor to get this vaccine. So
I will definitely talk to my doctor about it.
yes.
Curious to know, because the New York Times ran.
Does Ash have melanoma?
Ash beat melanoma a long time ago, but they took a big chunk out of his arm to do it.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, we're good. Interesting story because, Moderna's stock price jumped 177% on that news. Open this morning at 177. It's down to 174. It's down a little bit, but regardless, it's up $111. You could have got in at, what is it, 60 some odd bucks today. Well, the New York Times ran an interesting story about the 5 congressmen and women that have made the most money off stocks. And since the start of this term alone, I have to wonder how many that are tied to the FDA got involved in Moderna's opening this morning. But Ro Khanna is on the top of that list. He traded shares at a value from anywhere from $24 million to $147 million this term.
No, was he a wealthy guy to begin with?
I don't know. His family has made 7,200 trades this term.
Well, see, I don't want people benefiting from their time in office while they're in office. I don't care if you write a book when you're done. If people want to read it, that's just the free market. But you shouldn't be Elizabeth Warren knowing that there's going to be a major investment in your region and then investing in those companies that you're helping steer those companies to that region. I have a problem with that. But you can't, if you start putting constraints on people's ability, there are a lot of people. I think a congressman makes $177,500 a year. There are a lot of people that make more money than that. If you want those people, the people that are smart enough and capable enough of making, say, $1 million a year, back when that was a big number, and those people, you want them to run for office, you can't tell them you've got to come to work for a 10th or 20% of what you normally make, and you can't make it up by investing. The good people are going to go, well, it ain't worth it. I'll just stay over here on the sideline and make $2 million a year with my investments.
But think about it. I mean, you make $174,000 a year. You would have to take every single dollar of that salary in a year and then some to try to be able to trade stocks that value between 24 and $147 million.
Yeah, no doubt.
You can't, I mean, if you're buying $174,000 worth of stock,
yeah,
you've got to get in on the ground floor and let that thing ride, and then you've got to start selling it and trading it. That takes a lot of stock trades to value it. I mean, there's no way.
Yeah. Marina checks in. Ryan Hopping, Sheree. Greg Garcia, Ro Khanna hypocritically campaigns on taxing the rich. The guy is a fraud.
So many of them are, and I'll go down the rest of the list real quick. Nancy Pelosi's on there, number 2. Trade values of up to $84 million. Michael McCall, representative, a Republican out of Texas, had trades. Him and his family his family's made trades up to worth $75 million since the start of this legislative term. Apparently they had a large stake in NVIDIA, which could make sense. If you bought in at the right time, that would have made a lot of money. You could have made a lot of money. Representative Jefferson Shreve out of Indiana, valued up to $42 million, and didn't say what stocks he traded. But the one that was really interesting on this list is Alan Armstrong, senator out of Oklahoma. This is a guy who was, I believe, CEO of Williams Companies, or was top of the board of directors for them. Yeah. Big gas pipeline company out of Tulsa, I think. And he was making $750,000 a year. Okay. So the week that he was appointed to replace Mark Wayne Mullen, because Mark Wayne Mullen went on to be Homeland Security Director, right?
Right.
Or Homeland Security Secretary. So they appointed
DHS.
They appointed Mr. Armstrong to be the replacement. So because apparently he follows the rules and had to make a bunch of stock trades before he got into office, he sold a bunch of stock, anywhere between $5 million and $25 million. I'm curious to know how much of that was stock options from his board appointment at Williams, but he's on the list. But to me, he shouldn't be on the list. He made the trades before he took office, and he's only been in office since June.
Right.
So
Sheree says if there were term limits, it wouldn't be that big a deal. But these people are in office for 60 years. So
I can't imagine that the Stock Act, which was passed, a decade ago or so, that supposedly makes insider trading illegal for sitting congressmen and women and senators, which means I don't believe it was illegal for them to make money off those trades prior to.
Right.
Crazy.
Let's see if I can play this for you. I'm trying to test our theory on our work here. Let's see if this will work. It didn't go where I wanted it to.
But even Mr. Armstrong called this out in the New York Times article. He said that the focus should be on the folks that have built a bunch of wealth while making $174,000 a year, not on a guy who was just appointed after being the CEO of the board of Williams Companies. And I couldn't agree with him more.
I just wanted to play this. Yeah, Commander, I could always use some help. Let's take a break while Commander helps me cue this up. All right. I'll run this by the folks. Folks, we mentioned White Wing Materials. If you need sand, I want this to play on that channel over there, and it's not. So you just let me know when you can figure that out. 920 Sand. White Wing will deliver to your home the sand, gravel, aggregate, topsoil, fill dirt, whatever you need for your next project. I need right now probably, I don't know how you do sand. I need about 500 pounds of sand.
You don't really.
I don't know how you measure it. I need 3 wheelbarrows full of sand, but
by the cubic yard, just as you would dirt.
And then do what? Just spread it all over my yard.
Yep. Get a little top dresser and go, or a rake and a shovel.
Do a quick review and indulge P. Strauss, who has a great question. Which
I believe it was 3 Republicans and 2 Democrats, but the third Republican on the top 5 was.
That's it. You got it. And I'm trying to just stop it.
Was Alan Armstrong, who was just appointed to replace Mark Wayne Mullen and apparently is not seeking election and will not be going forward once his term expires in January. So he's there for a very short time. What, 7 months? 8 months? And then he'll be gone. Apparently, him and his wife sold most of their stock or a bunch of their stock in the Williams companies. That's how come that led to most of their sales.
I'd like to see who had the most percentage increase in their net worth. As Ricky King points out, are you talking about someone like AOC who was broke and now she's a millionaire? Good morning, Sheriff Louderback. There's our own House District 30 state rep. Good morning to you, sir.
I question how broke she really was. She's living in the richest part of New York as a bartender, and she went to Columbia. I don't think she's as broke as she leads people to believe she was.
She might have been doing a little side work. Let's finish this break for a minute. Chesnick Furniture inviting you to come in and see why you just always do better at Chesnick. It's football season. Gentlemen, we're right on the heels of Father's Day, and you know you didn't like those socks, and nobody gets a tie anymore because we're always casual. Get into Chesnick and get a best recliner. They will help you be comfortable for football season. You will figure out why you just always do better at Chesnick. Yep. Palace Bingo, super enjoyable, fundraising, charitable, 7 local charities. The number 1 funder of Warriors Weekend is Palace Bingo. Get into Palace and play. Have a good time. Eat at the L&L Grill. You can make a day of it, a lunch of it. You can make an evening of it. You can whip in at lunch, have some food from the L&L Grill, and play a couple of games of bingo in your hour and then leave. You might win. Worst case, you have a great meal at a reasonable price. So Parvita Wellness and the Vita Cafe, get in this week. Get in and get healthy. Get off the sofa and get into the Vita Cafe. Ash, I want to play something for you, and I'll set the scene by telling you it's from 1992. It's Ronald Reagan.
To top it off, they even tried.
Stop, Ronnie. I'm not ready.
To top it off.
Ronald Reagan speaking at the 1992 Republican National Convention. So let's listen to Ronnie.
To top it off, they even tried to portray themselves as sharing the same fundamental values of our party. But they truly don't understand the principles so eloquently stated by Abraham Lincoln. Quote, "You cannot strengthen the weak by weakening the strong. You cannot help the wage earner by pulling down the wage payer. You cannot help the poor by destroying the rich. You cannot help men permanently by doing for them what they could and should do for themselves." To top it off.
That is pure wisdom, not from Ronald Reagan, from Abraham Lincoln. So another great Republican. Worth noting, Donald Trump bemoaning the Fed just yesterday. He said, our country is booming. The economy is thriving, and it is. I tell you, you got to see where the rubber meets the road. Meet me at the Texan, at the Loop in Main Street at 6 o'clock in the morning, and it's a beehive of activity with nothing but commercial vehicles. People are working in this country. And Donald Trump said, when the economy is thriving, interest rates need to ease to facilitate that growth. The Fed is squeezing the country in an effort to stave off inflation. I know that. I understand that. But a little easing of the interest rates would help consumer confidence so much. And Ash, if you go back and look at those charts I gave you yesterday in Messenger about the realities of who drove inflation, Joe Biden dominated historical inflation over about 10 presidents, just dominated inflation. Are you yawning or talking? Because I don't hear you again.
Sorry, I muted it while I was sniffing because allergies are kind of bugging me this morning. So cumulative consumer price index inflation by presidency, somebody went and compiled this, the Red, White, and True News, and went back through the last 10 presidential terms. Joe Biden's cumulative consumer price index inflation was 21.2%. George H.W. Bush, 17.9%. Bill Clinton's first term was almost 12%. George Bush's second term was 10%. George Bush's first term was almost 10%. Clinton's first term was almost 10%. Obama's first term was 9.3%. Trump's first term was 8%, driven largely by COVID. Obama's second term was 4.9%. And so far, cumulative consumer price index inflation under Trump's second term is just under 5%. So even if you added those two together for Trump, you're barely 60% of what Joe Biden's cumulative consumer price index inflation was over 4 years.
And Linda says accurately, it's true people are working, but their money doesn't buy as much.
Well, because we just passed $40 trillion in debt.
We've been hearing that all our lives. You can't go back to a time when you tell me, you may go back and tell me, well, a pound of bananas was only 25 cents. Now it's 49. That's a 99% increase. Well, it is, but it's still 49 cents. We talk about percentages. We pay our bills with dollars. I'm making twice as much money as I did back when bananas were 25 cents.
Cody's making twice as much money now as he was when he started the show with us.
Just like that. And I apologize for not running that increase by you as my equal partner, but I just decided that it was time to double his income. And in doing so, you can see the relief on his face that now the price of bananas does not affect him at all.
Any more than it did before, because he never bought bananas.
Yeah.
We buy bananas every other day at our
Ricky King says, I know that fuel prices and insurance is kicking everybody's butt right now. You're right, it is, but I'm going to tell you, from the file of you just can't believe that, you can't make this stuff up. I get it that diesel's $5 a gallon. And it drives what I pay at the grocery store. And if it's what's necessary for our country to achieve its military objectives or whatever, that's a small price for me to pay. That's the way I look at it. But I'll tell you, on the insurance front, we have nobody to blame but ourselves. I mean, I do think that most insurance companies are extremely greedy. Most of them have shareholders who want a return, and our litigious society, the idea that if somebody bumps into you, instead of you getting out and going, hey, are you okay? I mean, did you have a stroke or something? I don't know why you bumped into me. We don't care about them. We sit there, we talk about our neck hurting, but our neck's been hurting since 1987. But we talk about our neck hurting, and the next thing you know, there's an open claim, and the insurance company has reserved $500,000 because you guys called the Texas Hammer. And the next thing you know, not only did your bumper get fixed, but you got a check for $150,000, and then everybody wonders why their insurance goes up.
Yeah.
You know,
Well, but the insurance companies too, though, they go and settle because it's cheaper for them to settle than to pay outside counsel to fight these lawsuits.
That's
which
right.
is interesting because they have internal counsel, but their internal counsel never goes to fight these things in the courtrooms.
Well, that's right, because they do reserve the right to defend or settle, and the impetus of what they do is never based on right or wrong. It's always based on which is cheaper, because they have shareholders to answer to. So in the same breath that I say insurance is taking a big chunk of your check every month, I would tell you that let's just shift gears to health insurance. It is nothing. And you feel comforted when you go to the doctor and he goes, well, you know what? It looks to me like you've sprained your ankle, but let's have an MRI, let's have a CAT scan, and let's run a stress test. And then when I get those results, I can paint a better picture for you. And you're like, oh, bless his heart, he's so thorough. And because you only have a copay, well, I'm old enough now. My copay was only $50. They did all this work up for me. Then you find out they billed Medicare $10,000 for the CAT scan. They billed Medicare, whatever, $25,000 for the MRI. None of which, any of this stuff cost anywhere near as much as they're billing. And it's like we're amortizing the machine over the first 4 patients. At the end of the day, the insurance company goes, well, we're not paying $25,000 for that. We'll give you $1,250. It was still $1,250 on a frivolous test that nobody needed. I need some amoxicillin. Let's run a culture. Let's run a nurse stat. Let's get some blood work. I mean, I need amoxicillin. I've got tonsillitis. I don't know. It could be leukemia. We better run a CAT scan. I mean, the whole thing is a racket, people. And yet we want to blame insurance companies for it. I don't know. I can't help you. All I can tell you is if you don't like it, go back to paying cash for your health insurance. Go back. Hey, man, when I was a little guy, there was no health insurance. I went and saw a doctor over here named Dr. Boos. Felt like I was seeing Dr. Spock. It was great to go see him.
Did he have the eyebrows and everything?
Right? Yes. Man was always coming at me with needles. I don't know. BJ Nelson, back to our topic, says, I was always brought up to think that the market runs the economy. So many regulations by our government restrict growth and opportunities that our country was founded on. If we can get our government out of the way and allow the free enterprise system to run the country, just imagine the innovation that would reign. I cannot agree more. 100%. All the government does is gum up the gears of progress.
No, not always. Think about the space race. The U.S. said, let's get it done, but it was private companies that built the technology to get into space because the government couldn't do it.
You're reinforcing BJ's point. The government got out of the way and things got done. Did you hear Jeff Bezos? You want to talk about a rich guy out of touch with reality. Jeff Bezos, I heard him on a podcast, and he literally said, I envision a solar system with 1 trillion human beings. We live and we are like satellites around the earth on space stations for hugely extensive periods of time. And he's talking about 1 trillion people now. He said it more than once. So he's talking about space stations that have solar panels and that grow their own food on the space.
Wait a second. There's 9 billion people on Earth right now? And we got to get to 1 trillion?
He wants 1 trillion people.
So we could have 100 Mozarts, I believe he said.
No, he said if there was 1 trillion people, it would be 1,000 Mozarts and 1,000 Einsteins. Mike Slater went on to say, well, there's several billion Indians and they've never created an Einstein or a Mozart. The geniuses of our time and past times are the result of the cultures from which they came. There's a culture. By the way, the more that we import third world people into our culture, the more our culture gets watered down and the less innovation you will see.
Well, Andrew Wilkow sums it up the best, right? Andrew Wilkow says you cannot bring there to here without here becoming there.
That's right. And you will never bring in enough Guatemalans, Hondurans seeking asylum in their chanclas, you're never going to bring in enough of them to have the next great cancer breakthrough. They're not those kind of people. They're not.
And the problem is they've been so oppressed by their governments. They've been uneducated by their governments, so they can keep them down in poverty, so they can keep them oppressed. So the despots that run these countries in Latin America can stay in power and enrich themselves. So when they come here, we have to educate them, and we have to just get them caught up to a barely functioning literate level, because they have no literacy skills when they arrive because of what's been done to them. They're victims of the oppression, let's be honest with what they are, which has been funded by the U.S. government. We give 177 countries in this world foreign aid.
We can serve foreigners right here in our country.
And there's 30 first world nations? We've been given billions and billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars for a century now to every country on earth in the guise of foreign aid to make their lives better. And their lives haven't gotten better. But because these deals then help Americans have a better life, because we give them foreign aid for farming and agriculture, but they have to buy John Deere tractors made in America. They can't take that money and go buy Mahindras in India.
Jordan Glass says, how about paying for insurance for years and never using it? That's a waste of money. I think that's a blessing. I hope that people pay for insurance through GSM and me for years and years and years and never need it. I'll take that cussing every time I go to their office for their renewal. They can tell me, you're just an expense. You're a waste of time. You're a waste of money. And I always look at them and say, the most expensive premium you'll ever pay is an uncovered claim. There are folks that talk about inflation. It's disingenuous to suggest it's not as bad as it seems to be and all of that. I'm just saying that at the end of the day, the economy is booming, and I think we should find a way to prosper via that. It's better than if the economy wasn't booming.
Real GDP growth in this country through the first quarter of 26 from the start of 25 is almost 3%. That's about one of the highest in the developed nations. For contrast, Canada's is minus 0.1% in that same period.
Allison Kaufman suggests watching an interview Mike Rowe, genius guy, Mike Rowe, did with Bill Maher, where he discussed the NILF, not in labor force epidemic. He speaks about that for every 5 trade workers that retire, only 2 replace them. There are jobs, but we have millions of able-bodied folks not willing to work.
When you got 10% of Gen Zers who have no human interaction on the daily.
Well, and it goes right back to what Ronald Reagan said in 92, that Abe Lincoln said in the 1860s. You can never prosper as a nation by doing for someone else what they are able and should be doing for themselves. There are, just 2 weeks ago, they had a labor fair, a job fair at Globe Life Stadium in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex, and had 660 employers there trying to fill 60,000 jobs. They can't all be minimum wage jobs. These are opportunities for people that want to work. I saw Mike Rowe, an interview with Mike Rowe, saying that we're rebuilding that our shipping industry, which is growing again in the U.S., needs 100,000 workers right now. There's nobody there to fill the void. Yeah.
So University of Virginia, and that problem is only going to grow because the University of Virginia just did a study saying that the U.S. is expected to reach 363 million people by 2040. So in just, 15 years?
Absolutely. Back to the doctor.
And Texas and Florida will account for about 52% of that growth, according to the study. 11.2 million people will come to Texas and Florida over the next 15 years, split about 60-40 between Texas and Florida.
Yeah. Of course, Texas is so much bigger than Florida. I'm not sure
Yeah.
it means Texas is a favorite. Kelly Fromey says, well, the doctor is pulling a CYA, covering his backside, which is back to the social inflation influence. Yeah. At the end of the day, if government wants to help with healthcare, they'll put tort reform in place, and like, hey, look, I'm sorry, something egregious like a doctor lops off the wrong leg. They come in now, they put a big X on what they're going to operate on. They double check. It is your left knee we're replacing, right, Junior? They do that often. It's the way it should be.
Well, talk to any doctor and how many frivolous lawsuits they just settled because they couldn't afford to fight them all. They get accused of malpractice on the daily. And it's cheaper to give somebody $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40,000 than it is to actually fight it, because they would go broke with the legal fees.
Yep, no doubt. Let's shift gears to the Astros update, brought to you by the great folks at the friendliest bank anywhere, the First State Bank of Louise. Our particular location is at Salem Road and John Stockhauer. Astros win last night unimpressively, P. Strauss says. This time of the year, any win's a win. They win 3-2 over the hapless California Angels. They were aided in that effort by the Texas Rangers, equally hapless, who lost to a team that's sub 500, the Washington Nationals. The Rangers lose that game 6-0. They're blanked at home by the Nationals. The Mariners are now where the Mariners belong. They're 4 games back.
I think personally, I think it was. I mean, as much as the score sounds unimpressive, the Astros fell behind 2-1, and then in the bottom half of that inning, scored 2 runs to go back on top 3-2. So they didn't cave, they didn't crater. They rebounded to the bottom of the inning, got 2 runs back, and ended up hanging on for the win 3-2. So pitching was good on both sides. Both pitching staffs only gave up 5 hits apiece. Astros did have 1 error, but I think if you can fall behind 2-1 and then come back in the bottom half of the inning and erase the deficit and take the lead and then hang on, that's not too bad. And I mean, they're in the weakest division in baseball. That helps, but they've got to start playing better baseball if they want to hope at winning the postseason.
Yep. Vasquez hits a home run last night. The Astros win. Torn Bell says insurance. You don't need it till you need it. Sounds like one of my clients talking. Yeah, I agree. You don't need it till you need it. I don't know how people sleep at night when, I guess just through the years, I do everything based on consequences. I think about what can go wrong, what's the likelihood of that going wrong. Some of the claims that happen and BJ Nelson's somebody that could give you great insight. Sometimes the things that happen just blow your mind. You're like, that did not happen. That there's no way that happened. And it happens all the time. BJ Nelson, she says that VC has an amazing welding lab to train students. I read an article yesterday written by Jennifer Kent. That's Dr. Jennifer Kent, the president of Victoria College. And there were folks, Ash, that were talking about how that America's colleges and universities need to be affordable and pertinent. And there's a list. You can go find Dr. Kent's editorial online. But she basically said that the speaker spoke only of universities and did not talk about the community college. They talked about making universities more accessible, which means letting people in with lower standards, like lower SAT scores and things. And Ms. Kent went on to say, we don't do that here. We let anybody in. It's not where a student starts. It's where we get them to. That's not the measure of success, is not how many kids we get in. It's what happens to them once they get here. It's a very well-written article, and it really speaks highly to the importance of Victoria College and the importance of the community college in general.
Our colleges are teaching more and more remedial classes than they ever had to, which means they're coming out of high school ill-prepared.
Yeah, some of them were coming out at the 4th grade math level. Yeah, no doubt.
And there was new data that was just released earlier this week from Sally Mae and Ipsos that shows the college costs average about $34,000 for families last year, up about 10%. And the average public school cost is $31,000, and the average private school cost is about $47,000. Families ended up paying about half of that in total spending. Grants and scholarships covered 27%. Parent student income and savings contributed about 39%, and about 10% of that total funding came from parents or students borrowing about 11% of those costs as well. So
Yeah.
I don't know how that rates, but it seems that, yeah.
Christy Thurman says in about 10 years, it's going to be scarce to find a plumber, an electrician. Prices will escalate. Better start learning now so people can do it yourself.
They already have. I remember, I mean, it wasn't that long ago that it cost you about $50 or $55, maybe $60 for a service call. Now you're looking at $150 just somebody to come out and look at your problem.
But you see, that won't last. In the long run, you will find an entrepreneurial young person who says, hey, I'll go out there for $75. And oh, by the way, I'm going to have 10 trucks and I'm going to make, I'm going to make $150 a day off each truck. I'm going to share the wealth with my driver. We're going to pay for our insurance and our fuel and all of that. And, you got 10 trucks and you're making $150 a day off each one. So you're making $1,500. That's $7,500 a week. That's $30,000 a month that you make running 10 trucks as a plumber. And you're making $360,000 a year. It's just the reality of a free market. An unfettered marketplace will ultimately lead to somebody saying, I may be worth the same $150 that guy's worth, but I'm going to get there quicker than anybody else, and I'm going to do it at a more reasonable price. And that those people will flourish. I mean, Cody's sitting right over here, and I have no idea what Cody's commercial price structure is, but Cody's nimble. He's agile. He's in this regard, a one-man shop. If you call Commander Cody and you go, I need a website, but he's got a whole bunch of people. I know you do, Cody, but I'm saying you personally, you call Cody and say, I need a website built. You're not calling 3M and, Exxon to get it done. Cody's like, I can be there. Well, when can we meet next week? Well, why not tomorrow? Okay. Wow. And by next week, you've got a website that's up and running and functioning for you, because Cody is saying, I don't need to make a $5,000 retainer.
Right.
Pay me my hourly rate.
I mean, it'd be nice if you want to give him one, he'll take it.
Right. Well, absolutely. Absolutely. So, yeah.
I'll be glad to hold on to people's money for them if they need a place for it to go.
Yeah. There you have it. BJ Nelson says another industry that needs technicians is the appliance division. I just dealt with that. Yeah, there's certain people in town that will only deal with certain brands. Kind of an unashamed plug. I mean, I like my friends at Appliance Pro. I think they do a good job. If you need help on an appliance, but I think
they won't touch anything made in Korea.
They don't want to deal with anything you bought at Lowe's either. And I don't blame them, Yeah.
And there are some folks that will work on those in the Victoria area. They just don't advertise and they're hard to find.
Look at that. Callie Frommie says, and Cody is so patient. He does great work. Little unknown fact that Callie Frommie, an African-American woman from an inner city, doesn't know how to turn on a computer, according to Joe Biden. So Cody had to walk her through that. That had to be done. Very quickly, let me run you back through USA Foundation Repair. Those are tradespeople that will come out and put down a tough as nails polyurethane coat in your garage. It won't crack, stick, peel, or fade. It won't stick to your car tires. It won't fade over time. You can put solvents on it to get oil off your garage floor. USA Concrete Coatings. Give them a call at 578-HOME. Veracruz Restaurant. It is Post-Caldo Wednesday, Thursday. Yeah. So get into Veracruz for everything but Caldo. Allen's Wrecker Service. 578-6300. I make you laugh. That makes me smile.
No, Kelly Frommy's latest comment made me laugh.
She also says she doesn't know how to change her name for her Social Security card. Therefore, she can't vote.
That's the one that made me chuckle.
Yes, absolutely. She's like, I can't Google it because I don't know how to turn on my computer. It's discriminatory. 578-6300. That's Alan's number. You call Alan, little Alan, Janet. I wouldn't call Alan Janet, but you can call them and they will help you if you've got especially a big truck. Hey, all you truckers out there, come on back and talk to Teddy Bear. Reach out to Alan's for all your towing needs. We talked about Went earlier. They're worthy. We talked about Brand Us. That's Cody's business. Reach out to him on Facebook. You can message him direct. He doesn't bite or charge for dumb questions. That's all I ever ask him, and he helps me. Well, in part because we just doubled his salary. Yeah, got that going for us. Then, of course, if you need space, if you need an office, if you're entrepreneurial, you want to step out there, but you don't want to make a huge capital investment, make a call to the offices at 205. These beautiful bespoke suites are above Greeks 205. You can go down at lunch, have a cocktail, come back up and do important work. If you're an attorney, especially. Office over here, go down, harumph, have a couple of drinks and come back to work. If you're smart, take a file with you and bill somebody while you're there. Lawyers, scourge of the earth. No doubt about it. Ash, the top of the hour has arrived.
The top of the hour.
It is upon us.
Bye, folks.
I hope you have a great day.
You too.
You personally.
I hope everybody out there has a great day today as well.
And just like that, we extrapolated out all over. We love you. Talk to you folks mañana. Bye, folks. Thank you, Magic. Bye-bye.